welcome to the bonus episode for today, the week, whatever.
It's the bonus episode that we know we've kind of got to do, even though this is Sunday evening that we're recording it, and we're going to be putting it out fairly soon afterwards as well.
Welcome to the star-studded nomination award show for the Coronation Street Conversation Street Awards 2023.
We've got all the stars here, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, no one's turned up.
Oh, damn,
that was when you guys were supposed to shout up. They're all sitting in the corner listening.
They're all very shy about being here. You know what these celebs are like.
But
they're all here because they want to know, have they been nominated for a Conversation Street Award 2023? And I'll tell you they should know, because the voting has already been going for the past 3 days. And usually at this time of year, we like to record the podcast, talk about who's nominated, and then open the polls. But we've not been able to do it this year, because I've had a sore throat and I've not been able to talk. But even though lots of people have already voted, we know there's a lot of people that haven't that are listening, so hopefully this will help you make a decision about who to pick. This is the 12th time, Gemma, that we have done the Conversation Street Awards, and I will never stop being amazed at how many that is. And also I'm always happy about people being excited about them each year.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's something that we think about constantly through the year. And I'm always like putting my nominations like in a little pot, and then I'm going to take them out at the end of the year and think, oh, who's it going to be? Who's our 5 going to be? And I think we got a really good set this year. Despite the fact that, this hasn't been a vintage year for Coronation Street, there's definitely been an awful lot to celebrate. And we want to, we're going to be talking about them today and maybe helping you decide who to vote for, if you haven't done it already. And if you have already voted, just log in as a different email address and vote again.
No.
They can do that. I like to see our total number of people who vote each year, and if it ever goes down, I just get sad.
Yeah, please vote.
So do vote. Doesn't take long. You can find the links over on our blog, possibly, definitely on our Twitter page, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. Some of you I know are listening to this on YouTube, and we'll try and put a link down below. But yeah, go and do it. And you've got until, I'm going to say about Christmas Eve or so to get your votes in. And then we'll tally them up, and we will have a results show at some point around New Year. And I always get a bit nervous because for the last few years we've had a few acceptance speeches from the cast, and I always think, are we going to get any this year? I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope so as well.
Don't forget, if you are a Coronation Street actor, you can campaign for yourself.
Yes, please do.
Feel free to ask for people to vote for you.
Thank you already to Todd Boyce and Elma Vaney, who have put the word out about the Conversation Street Awards on their Instagrams, and Silent But Deadly Adam Blease as well, who plays Dirk in The Factory, has done his bit for Conversation Street Awards too.
And if they win and you don't, you can't be bitter about it.
Adam Blease isn't even up for anything. Although we were talking just the other day about possibly having an award for side characters, weren't we?
Oh yeah, we were.
We were going to have an award called Bit On Side Award, and Dirk would absolutely be up for a nomination for that. No, I don't know. Maybe you have to have at least one line to be nominated for that. But not this year. We do have one new award this year, the Getaway Award. And that was one that I was driving home from work about 3 months ago thinking, I think we should have an award for the best location shoot. Because they don't happen very much on Coronation Street. We do love it when they escape the confines of Media City and go out into the wild world and do some filming there. So just to let Corrie bosses know that we like it, and maybe to encourage them to do it a little bit more, we've got a fake award for them as well.
Yeah.
They are fake awards because you don't get actually a trophy for this, but you get the prestige of having one, and that's all very good.
Put that on your CV. I'm waiting for a cease and desist to be sent to us from Andy Burnham, he's the mayor of Greater Manchester, for doing these terrible accents.
No, he loves it.
We're bringing the north into disrepute, and we don't even live there with our terrible voices.
So where one has come, an old award has gone, hasn't it? We have sadly decided this year to drop the Flaming Nora Award.
That?
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
well, okay.
No, we have to say it. We already had people noticing that we haven't got a Flaming Norma award.
Flaming Norma?
Flaming Norman award this year. Flaming Nora award this year, which has been a staple of Conversation Street Awards since 2012. And that's one we've given a shout out and an award to our favourite redhead on the street, because it has always been a thing. Coronation Street has had a penchant for those of ginger hair. And we thought, with all the other silly awards that we do, why not that? But this year we have decided to retire it.
Because there's no competition.
It's basically just the Jenny Connor Award, isn't it?
Who could ever possibly hope to compete with Jenny? So we have...
I tell you, it's not, we're not going to have... I'm not even going to say anyone else win that award, are we? It's going to be Jenny.
So we're bequeathing it to her in perpetuity for her
Jenny
services to our favourite flame-haired characters of Coronation Street. She is the ultimate, and she greatly deserves to keep that award. She's earned it year in, year out.
I think that she's probably, has it been like 7 years, 8 years on the trot that Jenny has won the award? And so we just thought we'd freshen it up a bit this year, get out the Flame and Nora, get in the Garraway, and hopefully people have enjoyed that change.
Yeah.
I think
absolutely love Jenny, and we love Sal, so we thought that that's the best thing to do. So I hope that everyone agrees that there's no beating Jenny Connor for that.
Exactly.
And it's fun to have a new award category, and maybe we'll have another one next year.
Well, maybe. We have over the years introduced new ones here and there, haven't we? Like the Right Laugh was definitely not there right from the start, and neither was the Our Kid Award. So we like to shake things up a bit, just like they do in the real award shows. So what we're going to do today is just run through each...
Are we hoping to get as much controversy and column inches out of us tweaking our categories as other people have had for theirs?
Maybe.
Like the Brit Awards.
I'm just hoping we don't get a Will Smith incident and one of the Corrie actors comes up and punches us in the face for making a dig about their character or their character's
really
partners.
Possibly could happen.
So what the plan is for today is for us to go through each category, let you know who the nominees are, as if you can't find out yourself, and remind you a little bit about what they've been up to this year to hopefully make you go, oh yeah, I think I'll vote for them. Or maybe re-vote again and vote for someone else. So are you ready to get started? I feel like I've said a lot, despite...
Oh, really?
Yes, really, I'm getting looks. I'm just making it bad for myself. My voice is going to be gone by the end of this, I know. What are we starting at? What do you want to talk about
You do so
first?
well, darling. You do great intro. You're great as a presenter. I always think that.
I'm not completely sure about that, but thanks anyway. What are we talking about? We're doing the A-Up Award first.
You are definitely a Partridge type presenter. You'd put your foot in it so much. It'd be great. Great telly. We'd be brilliant on like a morning TV show because everyone would love to hate me for giving you dirty looks.
Are we going to take over Phil and Fern, are we?
Why not? Phil and Fern?
No, who was it? Phil and...
Holly,
sorry.
It's a different plant.
I don't know. Right, A-Up Award. So our Best Newcomer Award, Gemma.
It's for the
I've
best
said
new
I'm going to
character.
let you talk, so here is me letting you talk right now.
I can do it. Thank you. So we've got 5 nominations in each category, and the nominees for this are you going to...
We don't need a drum roll for this, especially as people already know what they are.
Cassie Plummer.
Yes.
Mason Radcliffe.
That's his surname.
Sabrina Adetiba. Shelley Rossington. And Lauren Bolton.
Yeah, Lauren, who's not actually a new character for 2023, but she first appeared, I think it was like early November last year, and she was in so few episodes by the time last year's nominations came out. We thought we can't do it, and this has happened in the past before. We've actually had a few winners of characters who first made their appearance the previous year because they've had a whole 12 and a bit months to get their heels in and let us get to know them. But I would say, look, I think that it was quite difficult to put this list together for the A-Ups this year because there haven't been a whole load of really big name new characters on the street. I'm not saying there needs to be, but it's been a fairly quiet year for newbies, hasn't it?
Okay, without knowing what the future holds for these characters, I can see, not that I would like this to happen, but I could see none of these people being in it in the next year, the year after.
Yeah, I know.
And that's not to say that I don't think that there's staying power for these characters, because I think any of them, apart from the dead one,
I don't think that Shelley's going to be still...
I think any of them could be a really good Corrie character, but I just think they feel like guest stars rather than, especially Mason and Cassie, because, Claire Sweeney, I don't know what her intentions are on Corrie. The same way as I feel about...
I might have said...
who plays her mum?
Maureen Lipman.
Maureen Lipman. I'm always waiting for Maureen to go, I'm off.
stunned that Maureen Lipman has stayed in Coronation Street all this time. When she was cast, I was thinking, well, this is clearly just going to be a guest spot. But here we go, 5 years later, is it? And she's still here. So we could still be having this with Cassie. I don't know whether she or the Coronation Street team have said either way, whether they're planning for her to be a long-term investment. But I definitely got a different vibe when she first appeared on the Cobbles than I did for, say, Glenda and Dee Dee last year, which was a huge fanfare and here are some new characters rather than Cassie's, which is, oh look, Tyrone's mum's going to be back and she's going to be played by Claire Sweeney. I'm honestly a little bit surprised she's still here at the moment, but I'm not disappointed by it because I'm enjoying the character.
Again, to be clear, none of these characters I want to get rid of. Even, I've had my criticisms of Lauren, but I'm totally prepared for her to turn a corner and become in fact, I think that's what's going to happen.
I think Coronation Street are trying very, very hard to make the character of Lauren turn the corner, but she came in actually fairly sympathetic, and I enjoyed her and Max together when they were part of the Racist Gang earlier in the year. Then she bogged off for a few months, but it's since she's come back that I've just found her a bit more unlikable.
We always do this. We always fall into this trap, and it's my fault. So Cassie Plummer is the, like you say, mum of Tyrone, so big character, big name, Claire Sweeney. She's made a big splash, great scenes with Maureen Lipman.
Well, one of the very first scenes when she was in hospital and there was that massive long, 8-9 minute was it?
Fantastic performance. Really
Claire
good.
Sweeney is a brilliant actress, and I don't recognise her when she's not in her Cassie get-up because the makeup team and the costume team have done such a great job of making this absolute stunner of an actress look like a massive druggy scally on the programme.
Acting, darling.
I'm still waiting to find the reason for why she's in the show. I think that she's made a big impact when she first came in, but she's not proven why she needs to be here yet.
We've got to try and just be positive and brief.
I know, I'm being positive about her. Same with Mason. I'm enjoying Mason.
Right, so just to remind everyone, Mason is the evil bully who's been picking on Liam and everyone
Dylan
else.
and everybody selling vapes.
Great hair.
Running into Eliza with a stolen car.
Great job, Mason. We've got Sabrina, who is Gav's sister and also Max's love interest. She's got great hair and she's sarky and I love her.
Blue bits.
We've got Shelley, who's sadly no longer with us. He was Paul's sarcastic MND buddy.
Really pivotal in helping him see that MND...
it's for you and me.
Face it with a smile.
She really has. She was just a really fantastic.
She played a really crucial role in the summer, and I think that the actress who played her did a really good job of making that character likeable, and she had all that. Yeah, the comedy.
Energetic.
Yeah, I think we're allowed to say a little bit of opinions on them. I can say good or bad. I wouldn't have picked them.
People aren't shy to disagree if they don't.
I wouldn't have picked them
not
to go on the list. Not that it was me, it was both of us together that picked them.
Oh, that's right,
if I didn't think they deserved to be on here. Mason, I found as being, he's had some really intimidating moments, like the bit when he was pushing Liam, was it Liam? Yeah, down onto the floor and filming him and everything was great. He's the sort of person that I think if I'd been at school, I probably would have been scared of, but I was a bit of a wet blanket like Liam was as well. I think Sabrina, seriously underused. I think that actress is really charismatic. I think she's got a great smile. I think that having her as a competitive eater on the side is a really bizarre and interesting and untapped character trait for her. I just think that she and the way she came in with being the mysterious Beck as well. I was really kind of on the cusp, on the curb or whatever. Do we put Gav in as well? And I thought, can we have them both? Gav has another one that I've really enjoyed, but he's had even less than her to do, so I didn't feel it was right. Shelley, absolutely brilliant, and gutted when she died so soon. And Lauren, as though I've not enjoyed her character, I think we're not supposed to have enjoyed her, but there's no denying the fact that out of all of these characters, she is certainly the most developed in 2023, which must count something for her. Now, there's nothing wrong with what I said there, is there? I wasn't being biased there. I can say those things. Do you want to add anything?
No.
Okay, well, what's the next award then?
Next category is Top Lad for the best male character. We've got Paul Foreman, we've got Stephen Reed, Ryan Connor, Tim Metcalfe, and Peter Barlow.
People always say, is it right to have the villain as the top lad? Because for many years we had Pat Phelan as a top lad nominee. You might have even won it one year, I can't remember. Do you have any qualms about putting Stephen down on the list?
Absolutely not. They make the show sometimes.
Yeah. He's been the character that I think has been talked about the most this year, I would say.
He drove a massive storyline. This is the best protagonist who happens to have a Willy, isn't it? This category. So we've got Paul, who's done. I just think has turned from a rather insipid background character into such a humane, beautiful, funny, interesting person.
For years people have been banging on about how great Paul is. I've not really seen it, but this year with the MND story I've become a total convert. Obviously there's a timer ticking away here, but I'm enjoying every time he comes on stream. Peter Ash has done such an amazing job. Now the thing with the Conversation Street Awards is this isn't Best Actor or Best Actress. We are looking for characters here, but I've found his storyline so compelling to watch, and it is down to Peter Ash for many reasons. So he's also been great.
It's definitely worth saying that, because this is what differentiates this awards from the others. Even though people, when they vote for Best Actor or Actress, you know that they're voting for the character. We are wearing our heart on our sleeves here. We're not pretending that we're voting for the actors, but we all know the performances are driven by those people, and they deserve the kudos that they get when and if their character wins. So
Ryan's been centre stage this year as well with the acid attack.
That I would have said is incredibly background and underused. We even did a character profile on him before this all kicked off, where we said that he needed to have a big story, and we definitely thought he could carry it, and he really has. No matter what you think about his behaviour with Daisy, I think he's been incredibly sympathetic and very fascinating to
Just
watch.
imagine going back in time, say 2 years, and saying that the two of the biggest characters in 2023 would be Stephen Reed and Ryan Colley. You'd have never believed it, would you?
Even Paul.
Yeah, no, I suppose so.
Now, Tim, we've got here, he's definitely one of the leading men of Coronation Street.
Yeah, very instrumental in taking Stephen down.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, Gemma.
He's had a good year. Vote for him if you think he deserves the award. I mean, he fought Stephen. He was one of the few characters that could actually see through his nice Canadian act to see the evil serial killer lurking underneath. So maybe he deserves it for, sitting in a car boot overnight.
We know he's a popular character.
Yeah, he's very popular.
And as is Peter Barlow.
Peter Barlow, one legacy character for sure. He joined the cast in 2000.
Yes,
and
he has been part of the show for a lot longer than that.
Yes, exactly. And he's had a big year with killing Stephen and his dramas with Carla.
Trading up to a motorbike.
Yeah, so and he's definitely a massive fan favourite. There's lots of people that really, really love Peter.
Yeah.
So
and I do always say I utterly rate Chris Gascoigne as an actor.
Really fantastic.
He is. I don't know much about him as a person.
Well, he seems nice.
But he seems like we met him earlier this year.
Exactly.
He was very lovely when we met him, didn't we? So, top lad, really difficult pick this year. Who have we got as our top lass nominations, Gemma?
We've got Daisy Midgley, we've got Carla Connor, we've got Jenny Connor, those Connors, Evelyn Plummer, and Amy Barlow. Now, sometimes these are really hard categories, and I know that there's going to be people who are saying, why didn't you put so-and-so in? I wish I could vote for X, Y, or Z. It's difficult. We narrow it down. We have a top 5 every year, and it was tricky this year. Wasn't it?
I won't say who didn't make it, but we did have somebody who was really close to being on this list, and then we swapped someone in, and I think we made the right decision for that. So if you're thinking, why isn't so and so there? It could well be that she nearly was.
So Daisy. What can't you say about Daisy?
She's been in it quite a lot this year.
She's been one of, if you're going to pick a main character of Corrie this year, probably might be Daisy. She was involved in the stalking storyline, then the acid attack, now the affair storyline. She's a major character in The Rovers. there's a lot to like about Daisy.
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
don't
that
agree with her
stalking storyline
behaviour.
was fantastic.
It's
at the
almost like
beginning of the
everyone's
year.
forgot there was even a stalking storyline because so much has happened to progress that plot since then.
Yeah, she's obviously a really favourite actress is Charlotte Jordan. She's got a big fan support
Big fan
group
base
out
online,
there.
yeah.
Some of whom haven't enjoyed the direction that they've taken their character, their favourite character this year. But there was still definitely a whole horde of Daisy defenders out there. And I even said, like on this recent podcast that we recorded earlier today, that I still like Daisy. And even though I can see that what she has done in the last couple of months has not been her finest hour, I know I'm going to forgive her because there's just something about that character that I can't hate for too long.
Carla Connor, the factory owner, in the heart of the community from that perspective, just by the fact that she's a business owner. She was involved in the Stephen storyline. She was triggered. Her mental health was in jeopardy. She overcame everyone telling her that she was, having a relapse, and she believed in herself, and she pointed the finger at Stephen. She risked a lot to try to prove herself, that she'd overcome her demons, and she was not making things up when she accused Stephen of drugging her. She was kind of instrumental in his downfall.
Yeah.
And she's also in a very high profile relationship with Peter, which is going to be interesting to see where that goes.
Well, plus there's all the support that she's given Ryan this year.
Yes.
We had the unveiling of Peter and Carla's flat above the streetcars
That's right.
early this year, didn't we? A new
everyone.
set. Because we knew it, and it has been an oft visited set, but we hadn't seen a whole lot of the Ryan and Carla dynamic really before now. I mean, she's basically the stand-in Michelle, isn't she? Because Kim Marsh ain't coming back to Coronation Street anytime soon. So she has been very busy. I think she's still likeable in many ways, but she's also got that kind of harshness.
Well, I like
that is
her
needed
because she's a woman who doesn't care if you like her or not. Which we need more of those sorts of women. Thank you.
Do we need to explain why Jenny is on here? She's our favourite.
Our favourite. She's landlady of the Rovers.
Well, she was.
Yeah, she's that again. Another character who's in the heart of the community.
I'm really chuffed that Jenny's had all this screen time this year. I've been complaining for a few years that she's been sidelined, even though she might have had a high episode count. It's often just been, in the background of the Rovers scenes. But with this selling the Rovers story this year and the Stephen story as well.
She was a massive part of the biggest weeks in the show.
Exactly.
When Stephen, took her hostage, and those were really emotional scenes. She did a fantastic job. I think she's a great character.
She's been no way overused, and I think there are some characters this year who people have said we've seen enough of them, and I wouldn't say that's the same about Jenny.
Never have enough.
But you can't have enough Jenny. You can't have too much Jenny, I mean. And every time she comes on the screen, she's just brilliant. She's funny. She can do the drama. She's been really supportive for Daisy. I really, really love her. She is a top character who has been very important to this year. And actually, I would also say that Evelyn has been... I'd be interested to see when we have a look at the end of the year about the episode counts, how high Evelyn is up the list. Because it feels like, although she had a bit of a break, Maureen Lipman did when she went to tread the boards earlier this year, she's been a fairly constant factor on the street, hasn't she? We had the scenes with Cerberus at the beginning of the year.
That was just fantastic.
More on that later. We've seen her blossoming relationship with Roy that's never really gone anywhere, but it's still kind of waiting in the wings, maybe.
What can you not say about Maureen Lipman? She's a national treasure. She is on Corrie. She plays a character that everyone loves. I don't know, loves to hate. I'm not even sure. She fulfills a role that Coronation Street really feels like it needs. The battle axe.
Yes.
I think she is. Every scene she's in, even if she doesn't have a line, she steals the show.
Yeah, the looks,
she is
everything.
Brilliant.
She's so good. And obviously, there's been the whole Cassie story this year that has given Maureen a chance to show off her acting prowess.
Well done. And we've got Amy. I mean, she is a star in the making, isn't she? She's a Barlow. She's a legacy character again. She's had so much thrown at her. I think that there's been a sensitivity and maturity shown here by this actress to do a great range of different...
She's a fun character, but with the rape story, she absolutely held her own when she had to do the dramatic stuff as well. We've seen Amy kind of we've seen her grow up over the years, and she's finally, you know, in the adult stage now. She's getting adult stories, and I have enjoyed seeing her transformation into this vigilante kind of side of her, which is getting that oomph, that spark that Tracy had, and Deirdre and Blanche before her.
I'm really proud of how well she's done, and I think Coronation Street should pat itself on the back for how well it's handling the transitional period that so many of its young stars are going through, turning from children to teens to adults.
Yes.
And Amy Barlow is a really great example. You know, I'd say Asher is another great one. She hasn't had a big year, so she's not in this category.
But if we compare Amy to Summer last year, when we were getting a bit of sick of Summer and overuse of Summer,
but positive.
I know, but Amy on the other hand, as soon
as you say Summer, I say I'm trying to be positive.
Don't bring up Summer. Harriet Bibby is so joyful and
I wish they could channel
positive
that energy
and lovely
Summer.
From what we've been told and briefly seen of her in real life. But the character just doesn't work so well. But Amy is still she's exactly what I want from that character.
The light and the dark. She's sensible. She's switched on. She's intelligent.
Yeah,
she's
I think
emotionally
the intelligence really counts for a lot.
She knows what she wants, and I think she is a wonderful young woman, and I think she definitely deserves to be nominated in this category.
Me too. What's next?
The Garraway Award for
the Garraway Award. Garraway. It's not our time for that one already, is it?
It is. So we've got the location shoots. There were quite a few. There were a few. The thing is about this,
never as many as you'd like.
What we try to do is to keep one location shoot for each story, because
that's why we haven't just filled it with Stephen Reed goes off on a jolly somewhere.
Weirdly, there's a lot for Paul as well.
Yeah, really, Stephen and Paul have been allowed to
they've been allowed out the gate.
Allowed off the leash quite a few times this year.
But because they knew that they're gonna die, so they're allowed out.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter if anything happens.
We could have very easily filled this up with Stephen scenes, but we restrained ourselves and restricted it to one, which is the drowning scene of Stephen.
Stephen drowns Rufus in the pool. In the pool.
In the pool. Who do you want Stephen to kill next? Vote now.
Gemma and Chesney's wedding. Paul and Billy skinny dip in the lake. Justin's trial. And Amy in the club.
So we had a couple of watery moments in this year's Garraway Award, and we've spoken really so many times about that swimming pool scene, how much we've enjoyed it.
How do you pick which watery moment? And indeed location shoot for Stephen's story, but really this was a pivotal moment, I think, for Stephen's story. It was dramatic. It was a bit cheesy, a bit corny, but it was, you know, the music, the
monologue over the top,
the montage of the characters moving. I think honestly, this was peak Corrie.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't going to be this, I would say it was the scene where he tried to sink Teddy's roof box in the canal and was throwing stones at him. That would have been my second choice, but the pools won it out for me.
Gemma and Chesney's wedding was really fantastic. It was great. It was the first time in a while.
First time in many years that Corrie couple have got married in a church, and that was really important for me.
Yeah, the
dress.
The dress was
designed by Licorice Black.
I don't know that we're including the stuff that happened with Paul and the confession, but it was, you know, part and parcel of the Gemma's wedding, Gemma and Chesney, because she did get married to somebody.
There was somebody else involved. The costumes, the going up the aisle, having all the kids there.
It was just really nice and traditional, but in a non-traditional way, because she wore her orange dress. It was like a symbol of hope and renewal and
Conversation Street podcast.
Exactly, it's the colour of our show. I like the way that she made her wedding her own. She didn't stick to tradition completely, because, you know, it was a church wedding. There's a danger of making it feel a bit too I'm going to say traditional again. For this quite untraditional couple, I enjoyed it. It was a nod also to, you know, the real the actress behind the wedding dress. I enjoyed the fact that there was a symbol, a secret kind of, if you knew where the dress came from, there's a secret kind of code there.
Yeah. You also had
inclusive
during the wedding, Paul being ready to reveal his MND diagnosis.
Well, we
and all
knew
the
that there was
went
some kind of tragedy just waiting in the wings, which is always the way for a Corrie wedding.
We could have actually nominated Paul and Billy's secret wedding in the church for this as well, but we didn't want to have two church
that's the thing.
votes, because that was lovely. Yeah. And even Shelley's funeral, with the moment when the lights come in through the window,
really
the church was well used this year, but Gemma's wedding was our pick, but we did get Paul and Billy
for Paul and
for
Billy,
the skinny dip.
we had the skinny dip because I don't know that there's been another scene like this in Corrie history, even with a straight couple. It wasn't sexual, but it definitely had that connotation. I thought it was beautiful to see a tender scene, a romantic scene between two gay men on Coronation Street. I think that was incredibly significant. It was just beautiful.
Even the bit with them sitting on the jetty beforehand.
Yeah, really personal and it felt intimate and you didn't feel intrusive.
No, it didn't feel kind
beautiful.
of smutty in any way.
Well, it wasn't provocative.
No.
Or, like I say, sexual. It was just... And it's nice because I think sometimes people can be too provocative sometimes with gay relationships and sort of challenge people and sort of provoke them. But this just felt like just a romantic scene between two people that love each other, and it didn't matter.
And some really lovely camera work as well, some lovely drone shots.
And it was just nice to see them enjoying each other's company, which is a great thing that Coronation Street should focus on more with couples. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Justin's trial, good court scenes. We love
going
those.
up to Bolton Town Hall to get that one filmed.
Evil Justin.
Getting taken down.
Yeah, that was great. We like a bit of justice, don't we, on Coronation Street?
Yeah,
he's such a great villain. And it kicked off so much drama.
And
so
still,
that's
like when he's getting leading off, saying, "Oh, Daisy, I still love you. Oh, do your wit for me, Daisy."
And we've also got Amy in the club. That was
most recent entry.
Most interesting, most recent one, and it kind of reminded me of. I mean, people have said this. A Promising Young Woman. There's a lot of it feels like a lot of cinematic influences in this to kind of make it a dramatic. The lighting was great too, all the different...
and there was use of music there that didn't feel intrusive to me. It felt like it fitted in, and the blurry camera angles when they were going to show the progressing of time. There was even that toilet scene where she was trying to convince the woman to back off this guy because he's an evil spiker. I really enjoyed that, and I didn't see it coming. So for that reason as well, it was a
completely out of the blue. We had no
and
idea
engaging scene
that Amy had been up to this all along. So that was quite a nice revelation and in a location shoot. So which one are you going to pick? Because I think this is really difficult. I don't know what I would pick.
I haven't had to think about it because we always vote for ours after the voting closes.
Yeah,
we still got a month to come to come up with our own votes.
We don't look at what the voting's doing. We don't look at the results as they're coming in. We don't look at the results until we vote, because that would be cheating.
Until after we voted.
Yeah, sorry. We vote without looking. Otherwise, I think that would be quite unfair because we could.
Well, our
sway.
votes. No, yeah, because our votes are each worth 1/6 of the overall vote, aren't they?
Yeah,
we get slightly bigger pool. But
it's enough. We're the
we are the hosts.
We're the hosts.
We do everything else. What's next?
Wrong Un award for best villain.
Wrong Un. Okay.
We've got Damon Hay. We've got Justin Rutherford. We've got Stephen Reed. We've got Mason Radcliffe, and we've got Aaron Sanford. Interesting
that we ended up picking Aaron in the end, because he was a villain, but there was definitely a case of, well, he didn't start the year as one, but he was turned into a villain, and one of the whole points of the story was that anybody could be.
Well, it's, it's the question of, does a bad deed make you a bad person? Is it a one-off? Is he a rapist, or is he a man who committed rape?
Yeah.
It is a conversation that I think never really came to any real conclusion or consensus amongst the viewers. Lots of people were challenged in their beliefs by this storyline. I think it was really important. It was really brave as well for the actor to take on.
Yeah, James is a really lovely guy, and we met him a couple of times, didn't we? And it was a risky
move for him to take this role on. I think it was a great message, and it sparked conversation about consent. I don't think that it's. I mean. Can you say that it's changed people's minds en masse in the same way as, say, for example, Haley's storyline did?
No, not yet.
Sure.
But if it's made a few people
think, it really did
twice,
make people think.
Done
so I
a
think
good job.
He's a great villain.
And the fact that he didn't ever admit what he'd done was rape.
A lot of people didn't like that.
He went off and he kind of got away with it in inverted commas.
A lot of people didn't like that as well. So that's an interesting. I think that But I feel like that's more true to life than having a happily ever after justice was served story, because I feel like that sends a harsher message, really.
We've already spoken about Stephen Reed, but he did a couple of murders. He did lots of doping up and drugging people. He was very conniving, almost bumped off a lane but didn't quite manage it. But we don't need to tell you.
He was a magnificent Corrie villain in the tradition of bumblers like John State, but also the evil doers like...
evil businessmen like Frank Foster and Tony Gordon.
Yeah.
We've spoken about Mason already, who's a bit of a chip off the old Agent Critchley sort of block as a nasty teen.
Yeah.
A little bit older than he should be. We've had Damon Hay, who I kind of went into this year thinking he was staying. But
so he's
Jacob's dad, and the one that Sarah ended up copping off with and having that affair, which that particular story we haven't done much with the awards. So this is the nod of the hat to the doffing of the cap or whatever to that particular story. It seems like so long ago now, but he was definitely a wrong un, wasn't he? And,
yeah, definitely.
How did he end up going in the end? I don't even remember what happened to him. I know he got some drugs planted on him by Nick. I can't even remember, but he was definitely good at just being a grinning, nasty. I'm going to sit in my office chair with my feet up here kind of guy.
He tried to go straight, didn't he? But he got pulled back into the world of the criminal, because Nick told someone else that he was. Nick dobbed him into somebody, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he had to run away and do a moonlight flit.
I think so. I don't know.
Then we've got Justin.
Yeah, let's move on. Justin Rutherford.
If you
1989.
if you like his, I mean, he was creepy.
Andrew Still was brilliant at giving those creepy
cold,
looks.
Just detached from reality. It's scary because almost anybody who's got an internet presence, who's a woman, can imagine this happening. If not, has had it happen to them. A creepy man, involving themselves in your life and taking that to a strange, scary intensity. I think he was a great villain.
Being able to play somebody like who Daniel and Daisy were saying, I'm not interested, don't stay away, but he would still keep saying, oh, Daisy, I don't mean it, I'm gonna stay with you, Daisy.
Just delusional. Just incredibly
he was brilliant
terrifying.
at playing delusional. And that scene where he lets himself in round the back of number one as well and appears in the lounge. Great stuff.
Really scary.
So some good villains there to choose from this year.
Yeah.
Next up, we have got the Our Kid Award, which, as we always say, we know that doesn't mean child in Manchester slang, but we don't care. And we have got 5 kiddie actors here that are up for the award. Hope Stape, Sam Blakeman, Dylan Wilson, Liam Connor and Joseph Brown. And at last, 2023 has been the year where Dylan has finally come to the forefront after being on the show for 2 years now? But not having anything to do. He's finally been given the chance to have his storyline of his own with the bullying one this autumn. And the same with Liam as well. He's been very much in the background, but unlike Dylan, Liam's just always been there. And that's now that the likes of Asher and Summer and Ardy, now that they're not the teen characters anymore, they've been upgraded to adult status. This is where we're looking for our next batch.
This feels like there's a big age gap here between this cohort and the last lot. So these characters are much younger than, we'd normally have 1 or 2 teens here. Older teens who are about to age out of the category, but none of these people are really, I think, in danger of aging out in the next year or so. So Hope, I mean, what can you say about Hope? She is just she's like Corrie's answer to Wednesday Addams. She's sarcastic, she's dark, she's an arsonist.
She's got a nose piercing.
She vapes. She's so cool. We've got
I don't think that she has been as evil this year as before.
She hasn't been used.
She's certainly got there was the bit where she tried to make out that Cerberus bit her, I think, or was it David?
She got slapped.
No, yeah, she did get slapped by Beth. Oh, it was Peanut, wasn't it? She tried to make out that Peanut bit her by spiking herself with the dearly departed Vin Diesel, the Weasel's teeth, who I think he should have got a Terrar nomination at least, because
I
he's
know, where's
he's not
he
coming
gone?
out. He's in a skip, isn't he?
Oh, he's in
not
quarantine.
coming back. So Hope's always, you can rely on her for some great stuff. Same with Sam. I mean, Jude Riordan is still absolute
Very
treasure
cute, very-
on Coronation Street.
very well regarded.
He's been held at gunpoint in the bistro this year. He's found love with Hope. He has been slightly involved, but not so much with the Platt drama and Stephen. He's sat at a good few bus stops. We all love Sam, and you definitely wouldn't be, I would understand why you might want to vote for him, because he's awesome.
Yeah, Dylan, like we said, he's been finally given something to do, because I think he's been squandered somewhat. Obviously, it's Sean's son, so that's an interesting.
Yeah, he has
aspect of his
given. He's
character.
been able to enable Sean to have some really decent dramatic scenes
Yeah,
this year,
there's
which lots of people have said, well, Sean's, what's the point of him? He's just there to flick his head behind the bar of the Rovers. But actually, having Dylan has finally given us a little bit more character development for him this year.
Liam, who's so sad when he was being picked on.
Yeah,
and
his
he was
little
crying
rat face scenes.
with his in the dark with his phone, watching all the. Oh, that was so.
Meanwhile, in the next room along, Maria and Gary are saying, "Good job, Liam's fine now."
Thank God we're great parents. Let's
So
move
that
on.
story we're still waiting to pick up again.
Yeah.
And then Joseph, I suppose most recently we've seen him. Yes, he was around for the wedding stuff, but recently we've seen him being a bit sick and getting poisoned by his mum. And
Where's that going?
Who can fail to have their little heart
still
broken
got
every time?
A very cute. Face.
He really does.
Yeah.
He really does.
Right, so now we've got the Right Laugh Award for the
Right
funniest
Laugh Award.
character, and we've got some great nominees
Mostly women.
here. Yeah, it's true. We've got one male character, so if you want to vote on the side of what you got in your pants and you're a man and you want to support male comedy, because I know it is hard for people to find them funny. Men aren't really funny, are they?
They're not
as a
known for
whole?
it, no.
No. So if you want to vote on that, you can vote for Dev, who I love. He's so funny. He's so corny. He's so cheesy. When he's being silly and fun, he's just so watchable, and the same for when he's being dramatic.
With all of our nominees for this category this year, I can't think at the moment, off the top of my
For a
head,
massive
of any
standout
particular.
scene, yeah.
Do you remember the scene when such and such happened with him? Like his particularly heady Kiwis from last year or the year before. But just on the whole, he has
in
been.
general, brightens up these scenes.
Yeah. He really does.
That's the same for, like you say, for all of these. Bernie Winter's the same. She is just really. I think what I can think. No, was it her that was talking? Yeah, the Halloween costumes, that was quite fun. But just injecting a bit of lightheartedness into things and not taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah, and Evelyn as well. Same with the put downs, the
sarcastic
Saki remarks, the looks.
Yeah.
She's been brilliant
The
through the whole of
expressions.
the Cassie storyline and now with the puppy stuff as well. We've had Debbie. Again, I wish that I wish I'd prepared a bit more and could say, remember when she said this year. But we have seen a bit of a renaissance for Debbie with the whole Ronnie and Ed building saga this year. And she's always there with a Saki remark.
And then Glenda, who I think is very funny. She's always got a saucy little look in scenes. Again, underused a little bit. But I think the thing about these is that you'll know which one you want to vote for. I feel it's a gut feeling, isn't it?
This one is a gut feeling.
I think she's really funny. I think he's really funny.
Glenda had a little Big Shot story, but I think people also enjoyed her with the Rovers closing down story and Philip Newton perving over her.
Yeah, she's just great. I mean, all of these characters are. I would hate to lose a single one of them. I think they're all winners.
They're very, very important. At a time when Coronation Street can sometimes feel a bit too dark and depressing, it's characters like this that help add a bit of levity to the proceedings. So what's next?
Hello, love.
Hello, love. We're doing the Hello, love one now.
Andy Burnham's coming to get us.
Don't worry about it. We've been doing this 12 years.
The joke is we're bad at the accents. Not that we're making fun of the accents. I hope that's obvious.
You can do us if you like.
Yeah, please do us.
Sore
I'd love
throat,
that.
rasps and
I
all.
would absolutely adore that. Okay,
This is where we vote for the best new couple of each year. And every year that starts, I think, I really hope there's going to be at least 5 new couples this year so that we can fill out a whole category worth. And there was,
Luckily there
even
were,
if some of them didn't last very long.
Yeah, do you get an extra bonus vote if you last to the end of the year?
In fact, looking at any of these,
Well,
There's a couple
Dee
that are
and
still
Joel
together
are still
at least.
burning strong, aren't
Oh
they?
yeah.
So that's the first one. Dee and Joel. We got
Joel
Hope.
Deering, just in case anyone was wondering what his surname
Oh,
is.
Dee Deering.
D. Oh, that's not going to work,
Imagine
is it?
using the same 3 letters 3 times over in your name
Triple D.
before you get to something else. No, D-E-E,
Yeah.
D-E-E, D-E-E,
Oh, yeah.
R-N-G. Can you imagine spelling that on the phone to somebody? D-E-E, 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 R-N-G. That's a great name. That's it. If your name's a poem, now come on, that's pretty cool.
She could make like a lawyer's advert. And she said, if
Yeah.
you need top legal advice, give D. Deering a ring.
Sadly, we don't really do that.
We've got nothing else to say about these two
Not
as
really.
a couple,
I hope
but
he
they are
doesn't-
together.
Don't forget the bread sauce, Joel, for Christmas Day. Hope Snape and Sam Blakeman.
I know. Is it wrong to have a kiddie couple? I think this is our youngest
sweet.
ever entrance
It's
for the
sweet.
our Hello Love Awards. They are very sweet together. Sadly, they don't get much screen time because Jude Jordan and Bella Flanagan do need to go to school.
I mean,
but they have
probably-
shared a few sweet strawberry milkshakes together. It's true.
The same age as Romeo and Juliet. They were fairly young, weren't
I
they?
don't know whether they were that young.
Oh, I
but
don't know.
they have certainly got great chemistry together, and I love it
don't know
any
how
time
old.
these two come on screen.
I literally have no idea how old children are. I've got no reference point.
I know you don't understand children, do you?
I don't understand children's ages.
Well, the hot and steamy relationship, they are not, but Ardy and Courtney certainly were, or at least if you believe the Corrie publicity that went
Well, I mean,
on
even
this
the
summer.
picture's quite sexy, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Is she gone for good? Oh, poor Ardy.
I don't know. I really
Did you
don't
enjoy
know.
that story?
It doesn't matter about whether you enjoyed the story
No,
or
vote
not.
for it. Yes, it does.
This is, did you enjoy seeing Ardy and Courtney as a couple? Could they have, lasted it out for
Well,
a
it
little
does
bit
matter
longer?
then.
Why?
It's the best new couple.
It's the couple. It's not the story, though. Did they look good together?
know how you're
Were they well suited?
differentiating.
Did they set your heart ablaze every time they appeared on screen? I mean, it was certainly the idea of the story was that they are not well suited, but I suppose if you enjoyed seeing them together, that doesn't matter.
Vote for him if you like him. I don't get what you're saying.
I don't know what I'm saying either.
Max and Sabrina.
Ah,
Cuties, aren't they?
yes. Not had a whole lot of development, sadly, for these two. So I think if you're voting for them, you're maybe voting for the potential of them together, or maybe just voting in a I don't think that Max and Lauren should get together. This is an
Well,
anti-Lauren
they're not there.
vote, then go for it.
Yeah.
I actually do think that they make a nice couple together. I feel
Lots
that
of-
there is some chemistry
Lots of
there.
elephants in the room, but we won't go down that route, will we?
Yes.
Jenny and Stephen, more elephants.
They burned so brightly for a short
Exactly.
time this year. We saw them coming back
Like
from holiday
fireworks.
together and cuddling up on the sofa. They actually, they didn't have the whole "I'm a serial killer" thing. I actually think that they could have gone on well, but sadly it wasn't to be. And when we're now left with Jenny just trying to hack into his laptop because he's not around to ask for the password anymore. But I think that they
Oh,
had.
imagine if his password was "I love Jenny."
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, it's possible because it is true love.
So which one of those 5 couples do you think has the best chance of sticking the course, or at least going down as a Corrie classic couple, or the closest that we get to it anyway for this year? Put your vote in the right box.
Well, from love to war, because now we have the Ecky Thump Award for the best scuffle,
Oh yes.
and we've got some. There were quite a few slaps and punches and
Not
like you
so
say,
many all-out brawls
shoves.
this year. Since the publication of the nominations, we have had the closest thing that Corrie has had to a fight this year in Daniel and Ryan's fisticuffs on the cobbles, but that's going to have to be saved for next year's Ecky Thump nominees unless something else comes to top it. But we've got some shovings
tried to
and some
pick-
slaps and some punches, haven't we?
We tried to pick things that progressed the story or had a deeper meaning or just good.
There are still things that were fun
visually.
to watch
Yeah,
online.
yeah,
you can watch
exactly.
all of these. They're all on YouTube.
Yeah.
We were close to putting Spider getting whacked on the head with a crowbar as one of the nominees, but we thought that people might just pick it for a laugh because it was kind of funny. But who have we got, Gemma?
We didn't put in Stephen's Murders because that's not the category for the best murder.
No, that's
just
the
taking
Tara.
it too far, isn't it?
Yes,
So-
scuffle is just where somebody maybe got a bit hurt.
We've got David Scuffle with with Griff.
Yeah, so early on in the year, Griff was not in David's best books, and he came round the house and just had a bit of a fight, and then ended up going over the sofa with him. So they definitely got a bit up close and personal there. I think everybody would be cheering David on for taking Griff on back at that time in the year when he was grooming his son away.
We've got Daniel attacks Justin. So this was Daniel taking his girlfriend's stalker to task.
Yeah, this was round the side of the Rovers on a dark night. I can't remember exactly what point in the story this came. It might have even been after he made his way into the back of number 1 like we were talking about earlier. But Justin's relentless pursuit of Daisy, despite being told, "I'm not interested, love," ended up in him getting a bop on the nose from Daniel, and I think lots of people were cheering him on during that scene.
Bernie and Linda's wedding cake fight. This was at Gemma and Chesney's wedding.
Yeah.
And Bernie and
Linda being Joseph's grandma, had certainly made her presence felt in the weeks running up to the wedding, and basically trying to take over it a little bit and fund it.
Trying to use her money to curry favour.
Yeah.
Awful.
So this was a fight. There was cake thrown in either direction here. And it's a bit of a bit more original than just using your fists to fight. Mm-hmm. But there was some fighting and some fist action in our next one, wasn't there? Bit of fisting going on in this one. This was Chesney, or should we say Chester, punching Henry at the Chariot Square Hotel when he finds him attempting to woo Gemma with a business meeting.
Oh, so any Gemmas be wooed by a business meeting in a hotel, I tell you that.
Yeah, when we had Henry come back this year, obviously we were thrilled because he was one of our favourite characters of the last 10 years. But we were very much wondering, is he going to try and take Gemma away from the Chesney, despite the fact that they're newly married? And he
had a go.
He had a go, but when this punch went on, he wasn't propositioning her at this point. He was just trying to spend some time with her. And then Chesney comes along, realises what's going on. Henry calls him Chester, which was very hilarious. And Chesney bops him on the nose. And that's not the first time that Henry's been laid out by Chesney as well. There was a bit of a scrap to do between them the last time he was in it.
I think that Henry's holding back.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I think if he had a go, he'd lay him out.
I'm not convinced.
I reckon he did some kind of public schoolboy fight
they
club.
do teach them things like that.
They do, don't they? Like
pugiling, yeah. Yeah,
I bet they do.
Maybe.
I bet if he had a white glove, he'd slap.
I did enjoy the behind-the-scenes picture that came out from this scene of them all cuddling on the crash mat afterwards as well. George, Dolly, and Sam.
Yeah, and then we had the only entry for Stephen's storyline was Steve strangling Tim in the taxi because he didn't quite manage to knock him out here, but
this is the famous volume wall scene earlier this year.
This was fantastic. Well, I don't know.
Apart from the effects,
I don't want to bias. But, he strangled him, and then there was a bit of action and a bit of... The fights where people think through a strategy are more interesting. Lots of fights are just a slap or a punch. But, we had Stephen, lulling Tim into a false sense of security and then lunging forward with his tie. Again, fantastic prop to use.
It was. For Stephen, it was perfect.
Yeah.
He's been wearing that tie all along, and he had the tie pin clue with the Rufus murder. So I think whoever came up with the idea of the tie strangulation was spot on for Stephen there. But it was funny because Tim was driving him along, and it wasn't going the way that he thought he would, and he's like, why, Tim, why are you going to whatever road it was? It's because it's the place of the police station.
And then he
as he says police station, that's when he grabs him and they swerve around.
And Tim messes with the car and the seat and traps him.
Oh yes, he did, didn't he?
And then escapes.
There were a few confrontations between Stephen and Tim that we could have gone for here.
Were.
Like he piped him over the head, didn't he, when he was when he was in that side road. And then there was also the scene in the Red Bank flat where Stephen ended up getting his head knocked on the swirly stairs.
Because it was the epitome of cheesy Stephen with his his sinister, soapy lunging forwards on a word in a sentence to add emphasis. Like, you need to strangle someone to emphasise your point.
Police station!
Get him!
That was also, a fun moment.
Tim was pretty smart. I'm always bragging on Tim for being Dumbo, but he did actually use and you know, the sad fact of the matter is, as a taxi driver, he probably would have a strategy for what to do if somebody gets behind him and tries to strangle him. I don't think that would be unusual.
Aren't taxi drivers not supposed to put seatbelts on
They're
just in
not
case they get
obliged
strangled by
legally
them?
to.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, but
that's the rule. I don't know if that's still the case.
You don't expect someone to get you with a tie, do you?
No.
There's no rule about that.
No.
Are you allowed to not let people into your taxi if they're wearing a tie just in case? They will. That'll be the law now.
When you get in my taxi, put on a mask and take off your tie.
So some very nice scuffles there to choose from.
Okay, right. Next one is the Tarot Award for the best exit. We had some good ones this year.
Who did we say goodbye to this year? Yeah. Well, some of these are definitely Stephen induced, aren't they? We've got Rufus and Teddy and Stephen himself.
Stephen. So
if you like the
three.
Stephen story, you're spoilt for choice here.
So Rufus being drowned in the swimming pool. We've got Cerberus having to be put down in the vats with Evelyn cuddling him as he went. Teddy being buffed on the head with a hole punch. Stephen being bopped with a car by Peter, and we had Spider, who
sad that Spider went.
A sad adieu to his love of his life,
After only a year back on the street.
Leaving that ungrateful bitch with a spider brooch I've never seen her wear. I was expecting her to bust that out for Halloween, but no.
So I think with Spider's exit, we can also include all of the hostage drama. Think of that what you will. But it was certainly memorable for this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so...
They also had some really touching chats before he left. It wasn't just off I'm going, bye, but we remembered that these characters do have a history together stretching back 25 years, and they did go into that ever so slightly before he went back off on that tram.
Almost, you know, this category is a really well represented category. There's some great scenes here. There are moving ones, there are tragic ones,
and then there's just being hit over the head with the hole punch, which, you know, the Teddy death. I'm also going to include all the roof box shenanigans in there, including getting him into the box, having the residents help put the box on the top of Audrey's car, Audrey going halfway to the Lake District with him, and then of course the iconic scene of Stephen trying to get the box to sink after he'd put it in the canal. Speaking of sinking, the Rufus death, we've talked about that one already.
Boom, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, boom.
Oh, my voice is going. My voice is going. It must be horrible to have a coughing podcast.
Okay, well,
you talk.
So, I wonder whether they use the same soundtrack in Canada, because if you didn't get that song, you missed out, because that really added to the atmosphere. I thought this was one of Corrie's best murders.
Yeah, I think it's... I don't know. I think it's going to go down in Corrie history. As the number of murders ramps up, I think they get forgotten about more easily, but it definitely made an impact on me this year. What else did we have?
We had Stephen being run over by the car.
Oh, speaking of impact.
That kind of...
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but it also ties back to all the stuff that preceded it, with everyone confronting him in front of the Rovers and Audrey finding out.
Even all the scuffles that went on inside the Rovers. Yeah. There's just that kind of final 5 minutes of the Britain's, not the Britain's Got Talent week, the Super Soap week, and Stephen, dead on the cobbles. Audrey crying over him.
Good old Audrey.
Yeah.
Cerberus. Now, this was absolutely tragic. I think, honestly, was this one of the saddest exits we've had in Corrie since Sinead died?
We were talking about the nominees for this, and we threw up Cerberus as a possibility, and that we can't have a pet on the Tarot. It's got to be humans, and it's like, why?
I think we've got to have Cerberus.
I think that this particular moment really, really affected the nation as they watched that him slowly go into the great big field in the sky back this spring.
I know that lots of people find it disturbing how much more human beings empathise with pets or animals than we do sometimes with other humans. But the thing is about pets is they're a blank slate, aren't they? You don't know what they think. They could all be secret fascists.
Cerberus didn't know what was going on.
Evil. They're into eugenics. We don't know. They can't tell us. So we just project all the good feelings that we have onto them and assume that they are of sound moral character. And, you know, who doesn't love a lovely loyal dog? And
the fact that there's Maureen Lipman in this scene, you know, one of the top thesps of Corrie.
Well, not just a great performer, but also a character that elicits sympathy when she emotes in a way that is... breaking through that hard shell.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't show her emotions very often. So for us to see this, it made it all the more effective. I thought this was a a probably one of the. I think it was even sadder than the Schmeichel. I'd have to watch them both to compare, but
this really affected a lot of people.
It was a really powerful
moving.
moment early this year. It
was
really
really
was.
moving.
But it has got some very stiff competition and a load of other stiffs involved in the competition.
I think that's all of them we've spoken about now. So pick your favourite of those. That's a tough category.
It really is.
So the Bayek Award is our next
Bayek.
category. Best shock twist. Now, Coronation Street shoots themselves in the foot here, and I know that this means a lot to them to get an award here in this category, so they must be kicking themselves. But this only goes to storylines that haven't been spoiled in advance.
Yeah,
purposefully.
as far as I know, purposely. If things leak in the press, then we can still count them as the Bayek. But we're really into an era of Coronation Street now where
Nothing's sacred.
Pretty much everything, if it's a big twist, is going to be revealed beforehand. And we've managed to pull out a few here that weren't in the press before, but they're certainly not as big as some of the twists were, going back 5 years or so when Kate Oates was at the helm.
I really think that this is a category that if Corrie focused on this, it would be to the overall benefit of the show. But that's just my opinion.
There are so many things that happened this year that could have been surprises. But instead they want to say, look, everybody, this is going to happen.
And I can see why. And it's the difference between marketing and storylining, where the marketing doesn't matter to them if they spoil a story, because they want to get eyes on the show, and at the end of the day, really, that's what this is for. It's to sell advertising space for ITV, and let's not kid ourselves. But if you do enough surprises throughout the year, that's what really gets people coming back. The people that drop off are the ones you want to keep. That's what you got. I think Coronation Street needs to focus on retention rather than gaining a new audience, and keeping surprises in the show.
That's a big part
is a major aspect. So we like to encourage this as much as we can by doing this Bayek Award, and
it's a bit like how we encourage the location shoots with
exactly.
Away.
It's benevolently steering towards a goal that we can both benefit from.
And speaking of benevolently steering, Peter Barlow here knocking down Stephen Reed in his car, doing it for the good of the community.
Peter killing Stephen, that came out of nowhere, because lots of people were thinking it would be Tim, or maybe there might be a struggle with Jenny, I guess, when you saw him holding her hostage.
Or would he get away? There was no guarantees that he was going away in a box,
could have
lived, in a body bag.
Would have been better, arguably, but this was an interesting storyline that's kind of on pause at the moment, but the fact that Peter's killed Stephen it's
still lingering with him.
Shelley's sudden death. Now, we weren't expecting it. We knew that, obviously, you're not stupid. We knew that she had a terminal illness, but she was just so much fun, and we knew that she didn't have as much long left probably as Paul did, but we weren't expecting her to die when she did. It came out of nowhere.
Well, in the week preceding it,
she
was, and in the week preceding
really
it, she had been sick. She'd been coughing a lot more.
Uh-oh.
But it still absolutely took me by surprise at the end of that Friday episode when I think, is it Paul? Because is it the same episode of the same week where he has his fall outside the graffiti wall and he's trying to phone up Shelley and not
really
able to
sad.
get through to her, and she's gone, and this character who had been so important to him in the preceding month and a half or so, maybe she was in it, at helping him see the light in his terribly dark situation, to have her ripped away from us just as we were getting to know her, it was really shocking moment. And Peter Ash, of course, knocked it out of the park with his performance of grief upon learning what had happened.
Shelley was great. She did what she could with who she was. That's what I like about her. And if you can't know a Shelley, be a Shelley, but don't die. Daisy kisses Ryan.
Which time? I suppose the first time.
Well, you're the one that wrote this list.
It was in the Ginnell, the very first. After the acid attack happened, there was all the stuff with her catfishing. Is that the right word? Catfishing him, pretending to be Crystal.
Yeah, I think so.
And she was like,
that's not come up again, is it?
That's not much. It seems to have been forgotten about a little bit. But there was always the lingering wonder of, are they going to get together? Is she going to fall for him? Is speaking to him as Crystal actually just an outlet for her to show her true feelings towards him? Whatever. We didn't go into that episode earlier this year not thinking that this snog was going to happen, and it was very kind of shady out in the back of the ginnel. Ryan has his hood up, and it's certainly lit the touch paper for everything that's gone on between them and Daniel for the second half of the year. Another bit of a surprise, and on the same story, I suppose, was the acid attack. Now, this is where Coronation Street did a really good job of keeping the major twist of it secret, because although they weren't shy about advertising the fact that an acid attack story was happening and that Justin would be throwing acid at Daisy, what didn't come out in the press beforehand was who would bear the brunt of that acid in the face.
And that was Ryan.
It was Ryan.
Yeah.
We knew about it, didn't we? Because had we been on? I think we'd been on a press day about it.
I don't remember.
I definitely knew about it from behind the scenes things anyway, from official behind the scenes sources. So I think, oh gosh, I can't even remember now. But in any case, I think the vast majority of viewers going into that wedding episode were expecting to see Daisy be covered in. And just think how different that story would be. This really was the catalyst for a huge drama for those characters and one of the biggest storylines for the rest of the year. Nobody saw this coming. Apart from the fact that maybe Ryan Prescott was there. Was it Princess Anne came to visit the set earlier this year because she's a patron of the acid charity.
That's right.
But yeah, and I mean that episode itself was spectacular, and Ryan being dragged into the shower by Daisy,
that was harrowing, wasn't it?
Abby coming to rescue them. That was a really, really top episode.
Sickening to watch in places and harrowing.
Yeah.
And then, not harrowing or sickening at all. Quite fun. Beck being Sabrina.
That was just like a what moment.
It wasn't quite along the same lines as
someone accidentally getting acid in the face.
What's her name? Glory's not. No, what's the kid's name?
Yeah,
she's not really
Tiana.
either of your kid. Like that was just like that just came from
that was
nowhere.
a low key story, mega shock, and this was a low key story, kind of like, oh,
what?
Okay,
all right.
So we got to know Sabrina as Beck, supposedly the girlfriend of Gav, for 2-3 weeks maybe, and we had no reason whatsoever to doubt her identity. So when Gav comes out of prison talking to Max down in the precinct, Beck is leaning over the balcony and he reveals, oh, that's my sister Sabrina.
Like,
it was
what?
completely a rug pulled under from underneath us. Sometimes you can almost expect there to be a surprise, but you don't know what the surprise is,
right.
like with Stephen's death.
Yeah.
And this one, for us at least, it was just came out of nowhere.
And it was a very convenient and neat one, wasn't it? Because Max was having feelings for Beck, and he was worried because Gav was a good friend of his, and he didn't want to hurt his feelings or break them up. But the fact that she turned out to be his sister was just great.
I'm still waiting for the actual real Beck to turn up.
Me too.
Because I remember like when Gav was phoning Beck in prison, and it felt
got
like he
shades
was
of stalking.
It did. It's like is Beck actually not interested whatsoever, and Gav is harassing her, and it turns out that Beck wasn't interested, but she didn't even bother to show her face. So, but Gav's barely shown his face this year either, has he? So maybe that's
Gav.
the story
Bring
for
back
2024.
Final category is That's Champion.
Yeah, that's champion.
The
Best
award
storyline.
for best storyline.
Yeah.
And we've had some great storylines this year, and we've decided to nominate these 5. First of all, the Amy and Aaron rape storyline, Stephen's reign of terror, Paul's MND diagnosis, the acid attack and its aftermath, and the Rovers is closed.
So many years on Coronation Street, there is like one overall story, and you think, well, that is the A story of whatever year.
I'm pretty sure this is how they would plan there.
Like the Yasmin story was clearly the A story of, what was it, 2020. Then you had the Seb attack story being the big one there. This year, I wouldn't say there has been a definite A story, but probably in terms of importance, the Stephen story, the Paul one, and the acid attack have been fairly equal in terms of how much screen time they've got and how much talk they've had.
We don't carry statistics or follow, make statistics for this. I don't know who would have the time for this.
I'm sure there are some people out there.
Oh, well, whoever's got time needs the inclination, and I don't think those two overlap. But to work out the on-screen time for each of these stories, because it would be really interesting. Yeah. Because they are quite, Corrie is very distinct with its stories. There's not very often you're watching and going, I don't know. it happens, but it's not very often that you're thinking, oh, this could be this story or that story. So yeah, I'm willing to go with that theory that they're all pretty equal. But you know, the the Amy and Aaron story, I think, was super important. Like I said, quite shocking with some of the opinions that people, and I'm not surprised that a lot of them were women, because I'm afraid that women can be as misogynistic as men, if not worse, at times. So I wasn't surprised, but it really did feel like it lifted a stone, and underneath were just very uncomfortable, scary, creepy crawlies that ran everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like it uncovered some very unsavoury opinions.
That was another one that we did a press Zoom for, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were in Manchester
We were.
when we went along to that, and James Craven came on the Zoom and spoke about how it was going to be. And Waveni was not able to make it because she was delayed in her filming, but we got a picture of Coronation Street wanting to do this right, and then the scene where the rape happens was very well done. You know, Amy getting drunk, the kind of the very blurred lines about, does she know what's going on, does Aaron know what's going on, and at the end of the episode when like her pants get flung onto the floor, and it was just very, very icky in the way that they wanted it to be. And I thought that was a very effective story. The Stephen one was just a lot of fun. Lovely murderous fun, wasn't it? With all the various dispatching of his enemies, the drug stuff, Stephen overdosing with LSD, trying to bump off Elaine, her not realising what an ass that Stephen was, Jenny's involvement, Tim and Peter trying to track him down, lots to love there. Paul's MND, as I say, the change in opinion that I've had of the character over the year is just down to Peter Ash's wonderful performance and that of Dan Brocklebank, Jane Hazelgrove. You've always been a bigger Bernie fan than me, and she's certainly gone up in my estimation this year because of this storyline. I can't speak more highly about this particular one, and what we both love about it is it's a tragic illness storyline, which Coronation Street likes to throw out every couple of years, but they are putting in the comedy moments.
Well, it's an uplifting story about a man sort of finding the meaning of life in death, isn't it? And I never would have thought that Corrie would have gone there with, you know, but what a humane and caring way to treat your viewers too, because I think it's really important to show the tragedy and to show people's experiences on screen, which are sometimes very uncomfortable and sad, and that's important, but equally it's tough on everybody to watch it. So I think that Coronation Street doing it this way, you can't do it every time, it wouldn't be realistic, but to show hope in a hopeless situation is one of the most genuinely uplifting stories I've seen in Corrie.
Yeah, and everybody
years.
loved that bath scene a few weeks ago, didn't they?
It was great.
That was so good, and that was came out of nowhere. We're expecting that to happen. It's not a twist, but that was a really, really lovely scene. I'm loving the humour.
It's just
they've
really
added
beautiful
to this.
and human and real and raw and fun and I can't praise it enough. I genuinely think it might be one of my favourite Corrie stories of all time.
What?
Which is the weirdest thing to say about a story with...
The type of story that you hate.
Yeah, I hate medical storylines so much, I can't tell you. And I never really rate... You know, Paul could have been run over by a bus and I wouldn't have minded, but I now...
He was nearly run over by an underworld van earlier this year, wasn't he?
I
know. How
now,
it all started.
I know, but now care so deeply about him, and what a great... I can't praise it more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not telling you what to vote for because there are so many great storylines here. I don't know what I'm voting for.
No, I don't for most of these categories.
You know, I love Stephen.
The Asset Attack storyline has been huge this year, and we were kind of toying with, do we also include the stalking in that as well? It's really difficult because Daisy and Daniel and Ryan have really not had a break this year, have they? I suppose Ryan came into it more once the wedding or the acid attack happened, but I think the stalking story was fantastic, but I didn't want to include that as part of the acid attacks. It's not really the same thing, although it's a really difficult one, but I wanted to say, well, if it starts at the acid attack, what has happened since then, which has been the bigger chunk of the year compared to the stalking storyline, and I just had to go with that. So that's the secret affairs, the Ryan's rehabilitation, Daisy
Coming to
catfishing
terms
him,
with,
yeah, exactly. The skin grafts, Daniel finding out about it just recently.
Yeah. All great soapy stuff.
Very soapy. It's had its ups and downs, but it's definitely been on a high recently. And then finally, the Rovers being closed.
Iconic.
Massive.
The biggest location on Coronation Street. The most. Is it the most, or is the? I'm trying to think of the word.
It is Corrie's most iconic location.
It's the most unchanged location. I mean, it has. We've talked about. We've got a video on YouTube.
We have the changing sets of Rovers Return.
What the changes have been, but more so than the corner shop or any of the houses in Corrie, it's been a fairly stable presence in Coronation Street. And to close the Rovers down and kick Jenny Connor out, I can't believe it.
And bring back Henry Newton.
In the
bargain as
really
well.
Great.
That's all part of this storyline. That is definitely included. Loads of people enjoyed the episode where old what's his face, the old geezer comes and does a bit of a sing-song.
Old Henry, old Newton, Ridley, man, whatever.
No. What are you talking about? Who's that bloke, Mr. Young?
The one
you remember
died?
that? Yeah.
I don't know,
That was a popular episode. Seeing Jenny and the others kind of kicked out of their home, their security blanket.
Old Lenda with a little knapsack on a stick, it might as well have been.
Yeah, and now the story is going on with how are we going to reopen it? Who's going to take it over next? And feels like it's not going to be long till we find that one out. But
there you go.
That is it. That's all the categories.
That's our nominees.
Go and vote if you haven't done so already.
Them. Please do vote with your heart. And I think some of these are going to be really difficult. Write in, let us know what you thought, what you think, what you're doing.
Yeah, you can write in and tell us who you voted for.
Why not? You're not going to influence us the same as we're not going to influence you.
Or maybe we have.
And if you are a Corrie star, please do promote us. We really do appreciate you sharing our links and stuff, because you get a lot of coverage and you might get some votes. You might win.
You might do. If your fan bases see it, they might be...
exactly. You want this award, you've got to work for it, baby.
Yeah, thank you to those who have done it already.
Thank you so much.
That's it. We have got podcast to publish. We're having steak for dinner tonight. Lovely. Christmas time is here. We are still planning to do another bonus episode this week, or it might be a YouTube exclusive possibly, but it depends on we have time.
It will be festive.
It's
You'll
a festive,
enjoy it.
funny, silly idea that we've got that we sometimes come out with this time of year. But of course, we will definitely be back at the weekend to say what we thought of the pre-Christmas week on the Cobbles.
Looking at the schedule, I don't think that you're going to see much disruption from us in regards to recording.
No, I don't think so either.
Because we've got... Friday will be fine. That's the 22nd. I can't see why we wouldn't release an episode during that week.
We won't do a bonus podcast midway through.
We won't do one for Christmas
week, but we do usually try to get the awards podcast out before the end of the year, don't we? When's New Year?
The
1st of January. What?
You asked me a question.
What day of the week is it? Monday.
It's the Monday.
We might be able to get that out before.
Well, listen,
before the New Year, but we'll have to see how things go.
It's very handy that Christmas Day is on a Monday this year. It means that there's no real disruption, so you can enjoy it and our episodes more regularly than they have been this week because of Michael's illness, unless I get sick.
Well, yeah, maybe. And then, of course, we've got the New Year and we've got all our predictions for 2024 to come. And we've got the Bobbins Awards as well, which is sure to be fun.
Remember when you write your predictions in, not to cheat by looking up what's going to happen. There's no fun for anybody.
Exactly.
And it just ruins it first. So,
right. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for voting if you voted already. If you haven't, get and do it now. And we will see you next time for more Coronation Street Conversation Street podcasting larks. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.